Alright, what's up guys? Today we're back in the shop. You're probably expecting me to pull my heads off, and that was my game plan for the weekend, but I've discovered something a little bit hairy about my cooling situation. So the other day I left my car to idle in the driveway. I decided to try something kind of weird. I said, normally I bleed my coolant and it's up to temperature when I put the cap on. I said maybe when the coolant's expanded fully, it doesn't let it get up to pressure with the cap on. So whatever, so I let it sit here in the driveway running for quite some time, and I forgot to turn the fans on. It got up to 260 degrees, so I turned the fans on. I went back down to all the way down to 170 within a matter of minutes with the fans on, but the hood was open, so I said, let me try something. So I opened the hood, and almost instantly the temperatures jumped right back up. So we discover we have an airflow issue with when the hood's closed. The fans are moving plenty of air to cool the motor, but the air has nowhere to go once it's in the engine compartment. And part of the issue was there was no under tray like stock cars come with, and that essentially air was actually getting pushed down and recirculating, and you could actually feel the lower half of the radiator was hotter than the top half because the air just pushed through was recirculating back in. So what I'm going to do today is make an under tray, and then we still have to figure out how to get the rest of the heat out. Here's the issue I was having. This area down here was unshrouded, so what I did when we were testing was I used one of these pieces of cardboard I just used, and I stuck it underneath the cross braces here in the corner to kind of deflect the air, and it immediately stopped. You could actually feel the air coming down up front. Like if you put your hand under here while it was running, you felt the heat. This side wasn't as bad. I believe it's because of the alternator fan there disrupting it, but so I decided to make the tray bolt on down here because there's actually bolt provisions from Nissan on the frame, and there's tabs that are tapped to hold the tray. So I'm repositioning the cardboard on the bottom. Let me see if I can get focus here. And as you can see, it actually filled the gap pretty well. So I'm gonna use that as my base. I added these little wing plates that I cut up real quick and taped on. They just filled this gap because it seems like anywhere the air can escape to come back forward, it is, and it's creating just a little circle right here, which doesn't do much for cooling. So I'm also going to block off these holes, and when this bottom piece comes down, it'll be ready to be traced and sent over. And I'm going to make this easily removable because clearly you don't want this to be something that's a process to remove, because when I have to work on the radiator, I have to get in here to do the hoses and stuff. So here's the design all traced over onto a piece of metal. This stuff's super thin. You can literally bend it by like literally your fingers. So it'll be easy to work with. And if it ends up being too thin, we can always take this pattern and make a bigger, thicker piece. But I added 2 inches right here to extend a little bit further towards the oil pan to help hold that air in. And I'm going to grab my big metal shears and cut this out. The under tray. And like I was saying, this aluminum is just so flimsy, it won't really hold its own shape, but I'm okay with the little bow in. You don't really see it. And this is going to get hit by stuff anyway. And it has some pretty solid stuff back here, and this isn't going up anymore, so that's okay. The sides, as you can see, are bent around. It's not that pretty, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it has these little tabs on the frame that hold it. They were there, I just kind of made it tuck into them. This side over here fit great. That one came out pretty good. And from in here, you can see the little under tray there. Nothing crazy, but it wasn't supposed to be. So I'm gonna get the car up to temperature, see how this does. My hood scoop is off over there. I want to see if having the hood scoop basically fills that hole when the hood's closed. So I want to see if having that off will let enough air escape, because there was already plans in the works to redo that and redo the filter setup. Alright, so I've been tinkering with it, and with the scoop off, it doesn't gain temperature as quickly with the hood closed, and it would probably settle in a little bit lower of a temperature than with the scoop on. So we're definitely going to go through and design a cowl for that, which is pretty much my plan. Not sure I'm made out of what yet, but we'll figure that out. So then it was still running a little bit hot, so I went out and I took out the seal, which is what seals the hood to the cowl. And that's basically like putting in a hood riser, because that is what actually touches the two. So there's a little gap there now, which kind of lets air escape up the windshield. Now, you're going to tell me, you know, if you know what you're doing, that this isn't good for when you're driving. Cooling isn't as efficient, high and low pressure areas. You're not wrong. I don't know about any of that stuff. But while it's sitting still is my biggest issue. And for this car's main purpose, while it's moving isn't much of an issue. It's when it's sitting still, it needs to lose the temperature from the last couple laps. So that's the purpose. I'm going to try hood risers next, though. I'm going to try and jack it up a little bit. No harm in trying it while we're here. And I'll let you know how that works. All right, so we did the hood risers. You can notice they're risen. I just bought a little 1/2-inch aluminum spacer. They sell them at like Tractor Supply, Lowe's, any hardware store should have them. Just a little solid piece of aluminum with a hole in it. Got longer bolts as well, bolted it in. Also took the air cleaner off so that way the base wouldn't be blocking the hole. And all this seems to have helped the temperatures when the car stopped. But it's just still not as cool as it should be in my eyes. So as you can see, I was just bleeding it. But I'm just gonna start taking apart the valve covers for now, adjust all the rockers, get that primo, and then we're gonna see about a couple other things for this cooling system. This is what the process looks like to adjust the valve lash on these. I also pulled every stud out when I did my cam and tapped all these holes and threaded in studs. That way, hopefully, the Preston studs wouldn't pull out, and it's kind of preventive measure. So, but I was just pulling off my rockers here, my roller rockers, and I was noticing, I was told these were a little bit cheaper when I got the motor, but if you look here, you see that little bit of silver? This wheel, see how it moves left and right? Is actually sliding over and wearing a groove in that. And friction's not good anywhere, especially in the valve train. Other than the fact that all those metal shavings have to be going somewhere, even though they are going to be so fine. So I'm going to add that to the list of things to buy here. Alright guys, so I'm pretty much going to wrap up the video here. I have just did an alignment on the car. And I actually didn't really do an alignment, I kind of just checked it. And if you notice, this is how I do my alignments. I put it off the lift like this, so that way I have room to get underneath the car and work. And then I had my buddy make me camber plates, or like toe plates rather. And this is what a toe plate looks like. They're just made out of a sign. And you just put this toe plate along the wheel like that, stick the screwdriver or the tape measure in those little slots in the end, and measure, and that's your toe. I run an 1/8 inch toe in the rear, 1/8 inch toe out in the front. The rear camber's like +5 or so. The front camber's like -6 or 7. And I confirm the way I do my camber checks. I can't show you because I use my phone to record the videos, but it's an app on my phone. It's actually for RC cars to check the camber on their wheels, but I use it. I put the plate like this, so it's long ways, and these plates are square. And then I put my phone on this top edge and make sure the button overhangs so it doesn't offset it. And it tells you the camber reading. Of course, it's just rough, but saves me $80, $90 to get this aligned. But that's pretty much it for this video. I have checked all the rockers. They were all good. I redid the lash on every one. I reset my rev limiter. Previously, it was actually cutting out around 6,000 because I believe the distributor has a built-in rev limiter, but you can lock it out so it doesn't, and it wasn't locked out. So I fixed that. And then I adjusted the rev limiter in my computer for the car. And I also feel like I did something else, but I forget. I fixed my fan wiring. My fan wiring for my helmet blower burnt up, so I fixed it. So all I'm waiting for right now is my intake. Everything for my new air filter setup will be here Friday. I'm going to start on making a new scoop, hopefully on Friday. And I'm hoping, if everything works out, I can have it made by the end of the week for Friday Night Drift Party. But I'll keep you guys updated when that comes around. Until then, see you next time.